And now, of course, no gown is complete without the bodice. Literally. Without a bodice, you just have a skirt. Like that's the definition of a gown, of like a dress, right? It's that it goes all the way up, right? It's a skirt and a top, and they go together. That's what a dress is. I guess technically it would be a dress if they were connected, but you know what? This is my channel, okay? If you wanna deal with that shit, you go to your channel, okay? My channel. So I'm drafting this based off the pattern drafting instructions for a bodice from that same book that I used for drafting these skirt patterns. It's pretty good, pretty helpful. There are some interesting things, but that's just kind of how drafting manuals work a lot of the time. Is that, you know, you think it works, and then it doesn't. It doesn't always work. They're like, all right, from this point to this point is this distance, and you're like, on what line? What angle are we going? I don't know. You're not telling me. Guess I'll just figure it out, and then it's wrong, and then I cry. These darts, they're worrying me. This is a front piece. The back piece is on the floor, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because my proportions are really weird when I'm corseted and got big ass tits or something. I don't know, but like, why? This is a really weird angle for a dart, right? And then I folded the dart up, and then like, I'm trying to do this one hand because I'm holding my phone to record. Like, I folded the darts up, and it makes like a straight line across, and that's kind of what I want to go with the start, and then we'll see if I want to like add like a little point or something. This is draft one. But this is worrying me so much that I'm not even gonna make a mock-up yet. I'm gonna go home, get my corset, come back another day, tomorrow or something, and try and see, just like corset myself down, see if this shape makes any sense. And then this neckline, I just did a square neckline, and we're gonna play with the neckline. Hello, welcome to my tits. So I mean, it worked. It might be a little long-waisted, but you know, I don't think there's really any. Oh well. I'm pulling the wrong side. I think the back needs to be trimmed down maybe half an inch along the hem. And then the front looked great. This, I feel like I'm what was it giving? It's giving like Oktoberfest girl bodice. It's giving short stays. It's giving. Okay, so I do have a couple things I want to adjust. First is, I think I need to take this shoulder strap in. Doing a fitting on yourself is not fun. Yeah, I think I need to do that. Take that shoulder strap in. I want to carve out the arms out a little bit more so that it's So that's giving more strap instead of just a super wide neckline. I think I initially wanted to draft this neckline, which does need to come up about an inch. I just can't see that. I just put an arrow 1 inch, so that it doesn't show my corset. Yeah, I drafted this neckline. I think I initially wanted it to kind of be like square and then angled, but I kind of like it being like this angle here. So I like that angle. I'm just gonna move it up about an inch, which actually, I don't need to move it up. I don't need to move it up. I just need to shorten. You take more out of this shoulder strap, so that the entire thing sits higher. Oh, I've got the pin on one side of the strap, on the front panel. I just don't have the darts, actually, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Yeah. And then, the only other thing is I want, let's see about that next. I wanted to come to a V, have a little V point, right about there. So that's 10 inches down from where it is now. I'll just have to adjust the hemline for a version 2, and then I think no, I'll do another mock-up. It'll be fine. So the only difference between this mock-up and the version you saw on the paper is I took out about 2 inches, I want to say, out of the side seam just at the waist, because like the back panel, like up at the arm side bust line, it was completely fine. But at the waist, the front panel like came, well, the back panel like came about here, the front panel came back to here. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Okay, that's like lining the back and side panel up with my center back, and that's lining the front panel up with the center front. Does not work. So I adjusted it so that the final width after the darts at the bottom hem of the front panel is 10 inches, which is the distance between my center front and the side seam. And then I added on an 1.25 inches to the side panel, so that the total width of the side panel and the back panel are 7.5 inches. So it's a 7.5 inch width, which is a 35 inch. Yeah. And then I have it pinned together at the center front right now and sewed up the back, but that's just because I don't want to have to pin in my back. The final will have it pinned, or hooks in the back, I believe. And then I'll have a center front seam, because the seam is it's kind of curvy, just a little. So I can't really do it on the fold. But yeah, titties. I don't have any stuffing right now, but you know. Actually, I don't know if I'll have to take out any. Oh, actually, I don't think I need to adjust these shoulder straps because if I, like, push out, because, like, there's no stuffing, so, like, this width is only, like, 45 right now. If I cut it out, like, with a 50-inch bust, it's pretty tight, actually. Because my badonkers. Once I had the base bodice pattern figured out, I then just took some tracing paper, laid that over my front bodice, traced off that shape, and then I used that base in order to draft these lapel flouncy bits that I definitely did not steal from the Closet Historian. And then it was just time to cut everything out of the fabric. The main bodice is, of course, made in this blue silk, and then it's getting flatlined with that same cotton broadcloth, and then the flounces are just made out of the cotton broadcloth. Once I had everything cut out, I then, before I flatlined anything, I pinned everything together and wrong sides out, so right sides together, and then sewed along the neckline so that that would be finished cleanly, like a normal hem. So you can see me stitching this together here, and then oh look, there's Bianca playing on my phone. So yeah, so I sewed those together, and then I just had to flip them out and press them, and then we had a clean edge that I won't have to finish off with bias tape or anything for the neck edge. And then it was time to climb up on the table because it's time to baste the other edges together so that we can have these properly flatlined. And then once I had the everything flatlined, I sewed the darts up. I did that off camera, and then I spent way too long adjusting the camera. Holy shit. And then I just, I decided instead of pressing the seams towards the front or towards the back or towards the side, I decided to split them open and press them down, which seems to be how they finish off their darts during the period. And then you can see I'm pressing them over my tailor's ham because the point of darts is that they create a three-dimensional shape, especially one that's kind of curved so that it can go over your tits. And that's what darts are for, at least in a bodice and a skirt, so they can go over your ass. And I just pinked those edges, and once I was done with the darts, I could sew up the rest of the seams. So I have all of the vertical seams sewn, and then I just pinned the shoulders together, and it doesn't fit. So I think I'm going to mention this in the voiceover, but I added an extra ½ inch of seam allowance along the back, so a total of 1 inch seam allowance. Well, okay, no, I had an extra ½ inch along the back seam on both sides. So I added an inch over from where the line is, and then sewed with ½ inch seam allowance. So it's, yeah, you know what I mean. However, this don't fit. It don't fit. I don't know why. So, I mean, I could potentially, like, try and let out one of the darts, but I kind of don't want to. So I think instead of, the hooks and eyes that I was going to do, or hooks and bars, I think I'm gonna make it, lace up the back, instead. Let me see if I have the eyelets for that. And then next step is, so I need to do the eyelets. If I have the eyelets, I need to get some eyelets. And then I need to do boning, because I want to do boning in this bodice. I need to do that before, or I mean, I could do it after I sew the shoulder seam, but I don't want to. I don't want to. So, finger guns. So I realized I've shown you absolutely none of what's happened since that last take. I did record stitching in the boning channels, but it was terrible. Like, a lot of it was out of focus, and with the framing, you could not see what I was doing. So first step was to sew in some boning channels. Like, I don't know if you can see that because it's black, but it's just some cotton boning casing. So it's just like two like cotton tapes that are like woven together at the side, so it's like a tube. And then I just cross-stitched, or I think you could also call it a catch stitch. Cross-stitch those onto the seam allowance, or where there wasn't enough seam allowance, because there's this one seam where I pinked it a little too close. It's cross-stitched just onto the cotton, not on the silk, so you don't see anything else. The only boning channel that's not like that are the ones along the center back, because you want a bone for the eyelets to pull against, and that boning channel is stitched through the cotton and the silk instead of having a separate boning casing. It's an actual channel stitched into actual fabric. And then I did not have enough eyelets, actual like grommet, or not grommets, like the metal eyelets. No wait, those are called grommets, aren't they? I'm thinking of rivets. Yeah, no metal eyelets. Not enough metal eyelets. I didn't feel like ordering some, or trusting that the ones I saw at Joann's were, well, they weren't even available in the store. And then I realized that for a bodice, like especially an evening gown, like a ball bodice, they're going to be hand worked. So I recorded none of this, but I got some purpley blue thread that kind of matches this silk. It's the best that they had in silk thread at Joann's. It means it's not terrible. And I just, I can't really see that, but I just did hand-worked eyelet holes. And I didn't bother with knots or anything except on the first stitch and the last stitch on an eyelet, because you don't, you're not, it's not like a buttonhole, where you need to like, the knots are protecting against abrasion on the fabric, because these aren't cut, these are just awl. We just took an awl and poked it through fabric. So none of the thread should have been broken. None of the threads in the actual, focus on me. Focus on me. What are you doing? Hello? 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 There you go. Hi. Hi. Yeah, so none of the threads should have been broken. They should have just been moved out of the way. And then the stitching on the eyelet holds it open, because like a stitch over on this edge is going to be anchoring, it's going to be, you know, it's not going to let the fabric move away from it because it's like tacked into place essentially. And then you have that all around, so it's like holding it open. It's, the thread is kind of just like, you know. So I need to find where I put this bone, because I'm missing it. I don't know where it went. I took it out so that I didn't have to worry about the bone being in there while I was doing the eyelets. I put that back in. Hello. And then we need to do the shoulder seam. Boop. And then we need to do the do some, I'm going to sew some bias tape along the arm side to finish that off, and then some along the hem to finish that off. And then, let me just check my little list over there. The only thing left to do is the flounce, which I saved to the end, just in case I, like, ran out of time. But I am doing good. I've got, like, 2 weeks. So let's get started on that. So with that crisis averted, I then turned to hemming the arm sides as well as the bottom hem. And I just did these with bias tape. As you can see, I'm right at the end of my roll here with this arm side. So I just pin that to the right side, and then I'm gonna sew that down my machine, and then I turn that in and hand fold it down. And then here I'm assembling the flounces. I left these until the end just in case I was pressed for time. I could just have a plain bodice and wasn't wasting time with the flounces, but I ended up having plenty of time with this project. So those just get sewn together, flipped, or clipped, and then flipped, pressed, and sewed onto the outside of the bodice.